the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
This week's episode of the Sports Lordz is brought to you by the 93rd Annual Academy Awards. Even in a pandemic, Hollywood heroes found a way to commence with the world's biggest circle jerk. And now, it's time for the Sports Lordz!
Cowboy Kev.
Cowboy Kev is my new persona. Now that we're streaming, I'm trying to bring an element of fun and cowboyness to the show.
Yeah. Cowboy Kev wears sunglasses and he carries a pee-wee football. I love it.
Jimmy, this is actually an NFL-sized football. My hands are huge because I'm a cowboy.
You got cowboy hands, man. Everyone knows cowboys have giant hands.
You know what they say, everything's bigger in Texas, and that's a place I've never been to.
Mama, do raise your boys to be cowboys, if you know what I mean.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Boy.
I'm really, it's it's like we talked about. It's white boy summer. Let's just embrace it, boys.
Sure, you're leaning into it. Good for you.
Why
man.
not?
Don't let the haters gonna hate.
Yeah, because cowboys can't be any other ethnicity or background.
No, they can't. And
cowboys they're not originally from Mexico in reality.
Right. Diego, you're harshing my vibe right now, okay? I'm trying to live it up, okay?
Yeah.
Sorry, Cowboy Kev.
Your facts that you're bringing, that they don't apply to this Cowboy Kev persona.
I won't hear of it. Not on the range where I live.
Well, before we get going, hello to everyone tuning in. Hello to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network audience. Can't get rid of us yet. We're back. And how about those Oscars, boys? That ad we had today.
Ooh.
Big night last night.
I know. Look, full disclosure, I didn't watch, but I'm gonna guess that the phrase "now more than ever" was said, and I'm gonna guess that my boy Screech got snubbed from the In Memoriam, and I'm gonna guess that a bunch of movies that nobody watched won some awards.
Yeah, full disclosure, I didn't watch. I don't think I've ever watched an Academy Awards all the way through. I will say it's a mockery and it's garbage that Sacha Baron Cohen didn't win every single award for his portrayal of Borat Sagdiyev again.
Whoa, hold on. I would say though that the woman who played his daughter also deserved recognition. As far as I'm concerned, those are the two best performances this century so far.
Yeah, and I'm not even really joking. What actor who won last night could do that? This guy lived a character, and he did a character that people already knew existed again, and still fooled Rudy, and it was people.
Yeah, he did.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
No one else could do that.
And especially things are even crazier now than that they were the first. When he made the first movie, he was legitimately in danger a time or two.
Yeah.
In this newest one, where people could have just shot him if they found out he was screwing with them.
Yes, and I agree. And I saw that Nomadland won for Best Picture. That's actually the only nominated movie I think that I watched. And you know what? snooze fest.
Yeah, I don't know. We were talking about it off mic earlier. I don't know if it's because I'm older. I mean, I'm the weird one. I'm not calling anyone out. I don't know if it's because I'm older. I don't know if it's because of the pandemic and having gone through this, but like nothing matters, guys. Like who cares? Like I don't the self congratulate. I don't know. Like who cares?
Yeah, it feels it's always been sort of tone deaf on some level. The award shows because they're just sniffing their farts and patting themselves on the back the whole time, and like just like it's so self-important. And now, even now in this hell world, it's like you guys are really disconnected from the hell world reality that most of the country and planet is living under now. So
Yeah, agreed.
Hard to care.
They're a bunch. You know what they are? It's just a bunch of little piggies. That's all it is.
Just like you deal with on the ranch, right, Cowboy?
Well, yeah, I do deal with some piggies, but most of what I'm dealing with are
rustling cattle. Yeah.
And of course, I'm always riding. What am I riding?
A horsey.
Oh.
That's my horsey. My horsey's name. My horsey's name is Dabo. I named him after Dabo Sweeney.
Oh,
Cool.
good choice.
He's got some horse-like qualities.
Yeah, he's a bit of a horse face, I think.
Yeah. He needs to be put down.
Yeah, send him to the glue factory. But now, speaking of Dabo, now that we've covered the Academy Awards and everyone's favorite
top to
film,
bottom.
people are never going to forget this year in film. Minori, Sound of Metal, Nomadland. These are films that will live on for eternity. We can move on.
Before you go,
sports. Yeah.
Time out before we get into the big sports weekend. Real quick, anyone watching right now, 4:30, we're going to be taking calls. So if you want to chat with us, give us a shout.
Yeah, we'd love to hear. We'd love to hear from you and
sound off on anything: Oscars stuff, sports stuff,
NFL draft, Super League.
Something you just want to get off your chest. Just vent a little bit. Bring it.
We want to hear your takes. And if you want to hear our takes on something, we'll happily give them to you because the end of the day, it's all about the takes.
Right. So we are major take smiths, as you can see. The number to call in, if you want to call in, 203-903-8271. That number again is 203-903-8271. So
call
4:30, starting at 4:30, call in then, and if you call in, we'll pause whatever we're doing and we'll chat.
Yeah, anything you want. I'll give you cowboy tips. What kind of feed you should be feeding your cattle or any kind of animal.
I'll tell you who to draft this week in the NFL draft.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can also answer questions about stuff too.
Yeah.
So,
but anyway,
we'd love to hear from you because there's lots going on this week. I had a huge sports week. I went to 2 live sporting events.
Yeah,
first
Cowboy
time
Kev
since
is back.
I'm back, baby. I'm not scared of what dang virus, partner. No, what? I don't give no hoot now that I'm vaccinated. But I went to Yankee Stadium twice. That was a big thrill, and I watched the UFC because my girlfriend's really into it now.
But you didn't see that live.
Not live in person. No, I was not in Jacksonville.
But before we get into that, what was the experience of going to live sporting events like? Like before we get on to like the other stuff, was it weird? Like were there things you didn't like, or what was going on?
Well, I went to Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. And I went to see the Braves play the Yankees a week ago, last Tuesday. And it was a little weird. You got to show your vaccine card or have a negative COVID test to get in the stadium. But it went pretty smooth. And because there's fewer people allowed in, it wasn't much worse than a regular game. I had some stadium beers. I saw a lackluster baseball game, but it was still an emotional experience because, man, I miss going to live sporting events, specifically baseball. But never enjoyed a stadium beer as much as I enjoyed that first one and the second one, maybe even the third one. Don't know if there was a fourth, but
how much are they charging for a Budweiser stadium beer or whatever?
Still 14.
Yeah,
it's it's the same price.
Yeah,
they haven't lowered the price.
But we're talking a 24-ounce big boy, right?
We're talking the big boy and
the biggest big boy.
A new thing I learned about Yankee Stadium when I went subsequently on Saturday to the New York City Football Club game, blowout against Cincinnati. I learned about the $20 bucket of chicken fingers and fries.
Yeah, the chicken bucket is big.
It's $20 and it feeds, literally it fed 4 people.
Damn.
It's crazy.
That's the value.
It's 10 chicken tenders and a bucket of fries. So
I love that.
Any tri-state people, anyone visiting Yankee Stadium, go for the $20 chicken bucket. But yeah, it was great. I'm going to be going to lots more events. It's very molto bene.
No, awesome. The Braves lost that game you went to. What was 2-1 or something like that? It was
a terrible baseball game. The bullpen imploded and walked in, hit a guy with a pitch, walked in 2 runs. They lost. There was very little offense. The Braves suck. The Yankees suck. It was a suck fest.
Yeah, I was watching the game on TV. I was watching the Atlanta feed with our beloved Chip Carey, and it was like, Chip, man,
Chip the hip Carey. He's got big hips. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like he was trying to sell it, like he was doing his job, but it was like you're not fooling anyone. Or it was like, this is a pitcher's duel. This is such good pitching. It's like, no, it's just these teams suck and no one can hit anything.
Yeah. Also, I think it was in that same game, Aaron Judge hit a fly ball to left center, and Chip did his patented Judge gets a hold of one. Oh, it's going deep, and then center fielder just casually runs over and catches it. Now, I mean, I guess this year Chip is calling it off a monitor, so maybe I'll cut him a little bit of slack. But
no.
I really loves to blow his load early on those home run calls.
He really does, especially when it's the opposing team.
Yeah.
I feel like he's more ready to call an opposing team's home run. And yeah, it was those teams are just playing really bad baseball right now.
Right. And for those of you out there watching us or listening to us right now who we've talked about it on our show in the past, but any new listeners or whatever, Chip Carey is the grandson of Hall of Fame broadcaster Harry Carey, also the son of Hall of Fame broadcaster Skip Carey. But unlike his predecessors, his papa and grandpapa, Chip, not very good.
Yeah.
Not my favorite.
Not the worst, but not my favorite.
Yeah.
No.
The talent, the charisma levels have diminished with each preceding generation.
I think it's because he's not as drunk as his dad and his grandfather were on the call, because they were loaded, and Chip sounds just sober as a bird.
Exactly. Harry was fun loaded, and Skip was mean loaded. Yeah. But at least he still had something, was bringing something to the table. And Chip's just I'm a boring dad with a lame personality.
I got fired immediately from the playoff broadcast.
Yeah. Ask any Cubs or Braves fan about Chip Carey, and they're going to not have nice things to say about him because he's pretty bad.
Yeah.
He's got maybe the greatest job you could have, just watching baseball and chilling, and he's not good at it.
Yeah, he's just kind of a dork.
But yeah, so you'll probably hear us reference him throughout the campaign because he'll say a lot of dumb things.
Yeah, and hey, look, if you're listening and you're offended by our anti-Chip Carey takes, call in about 15 minutes and let us know how wrong we are.
Yeah, and if you are Chip Carey, call in especially, and I'll even give you my address. You can come here, and you can catch these hands, brother.
Hell yeah, Cowboy Kev.
And you're already sleeveless. You're on your way to like the no shirt, because that's the thing. That's our policy, by the way. If you're ever fighting, it's no shirt. So
yeah, straight.
Got my throwback Sonics. It's kind of you can the green.
See a hole through you.
Oh yeah, that's cool, man.
That's the hole where my heart used to be, but I ain't got no heart no more because I'm a cowboy and I'm ready to be tough.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, it was a crazy weekend of baseball. Sticking to that, there's a lot of good matchups. The Braves, I don't know, they can't figure it out. They can't get it going, I feel like.
Oh yeah, I feel like we have to touch on the fact that they got no hit by Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah,
through the first 3 weeks of the season, people were like, I can't believe the Diamondbacks gave washed up Madison Bumgarner a contract, and he's just sucked. And then he comes to Atlanta and pitches a 7-inning no-hit game. Pretty embarrassing stuff.
Very embarrassing, and doubly embarrassing, because the first game of the doubleheader, the Braves got one hit.
Yeah.
So that's 14 innings of baseball, one hit.
Against the Diamondbacks.
Yeah,
not the Dodgers, not like some amazing legendary pitching staff. The Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
So much like Yankees fans who had high hopes for the season, as Braves fans, it's starting, it's still early, but it's starting to feel like this might not be the year for the Braves.
It's starting to be. Yeah, it's like a Mirror of Mayor Pete's campaign. High hopes for a minute, but and they're gone.
Exactly.
Remember the dance?
How can I forget? That was great.
Maybe the Braves can pull a Mayor Pete and just claim that they won the division before the season ends. Sort of like what he did in Iowa, where he just said we won.
Yeah, exactly. That's it's a good idea.
But it was so disappointing. Like after Ian Anderson pitched so well in New York, to come home and play the Diamondbacks and just wet the bed in the worst way.
Just suck.
It's really hurts too, because it's like, this is the most excited I've been for a baseball season in a long time, because we're coming back,
right?
And they're just shitting the bed in real time. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Red Sox and the A's are killing it after a bad start. So I don't know. It's just Hopefully the Braves and the Yankees can turn it around, can come alive. But right now, they both just look dead.
Yeah. I also just want to say, I'm pretty sure we've touched on this in the past, but whenever I hear the name Madison Bumgarner, I think of like an SEC sorority girl. Like a sorority girl.
She's a tri-delt.
Yeah. And he's got like his tough guy persona. And I'm like, you have like a blonde girl's name.
Yeah, I just picture a girl in a sundress and cowboy boots.
Like sweating her medicine show.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sweating her ass off at like a tailgate, not knowing what's happening.
Yeah.
Trying to like stave off aggression from Chase and Bentley and Mitchell.
Yeah, exactly. They don't all root for her at the same time.
They're all circling her. Madison, come on, dude. I gotta go back to the frat.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Just good for him. He's a great pitcher, but anyway, just had to say that.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, he no hit us. Like we can't make fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
He's getting the last
right
laugh.
now, he definitely gets the last laugh no matter what. But yeah, Ian Anderson's coming home, because Ian Anderson's like a New York boy, right?
He's from Clifton Park, New York.
Yeah.
Just outside of Albany. Where they don't talk like that. But he got to pitch. He pitched a real dandy at Yankee Stadium in front of his family. So that's cool for him.
And then the big series of the weekend was probably the Dodgers and Padres, and Fernando Tatis just being incredible.
Yeah, insane. And I love
Yeah,
that
which
he
is
was mocking Trevor Bauer on the
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
and it's good to see because that injury he had a couple weeks ago didn't look good. So I'm glad that the fathers of San Diego are coming alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I think Trevor Bauer was like, "Oh, I think it's great. I think it's cool," which is cool that he said that. But I feel like deep down inside, he was like, "I'm mad.
Yeah.
I'm mad about that, but I can't say anything because I'm a dick."
He like blogged about it or something.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
entertaining stuff.
But those teams are super fun, and I imagine destined to meet in the playoffs.
Yeah.
As of right now,
Yeah.
who knows?
For sure.
Injuries and other stuff could happen, but
Yeah,
it's looking that way.
Looking like the
Yeah.
two best teams in the National League. I mean,
Yeah,
the
for
Dodgers
sure.
are insane,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, the Padres are right there.
Wiser men than me have said you really can't gauge till about the All-Star break, but I don't know. Those teams are really good, and it's they're getting some. They got some good players, man.
Hey, that
You love
helps,
to see
brother. That helps, Cowboy Cat.
Yeah, having good players. Who knew? Who knew that that's what you need to win baseball?
Alex Anthopoulos for the Braves, he kind of went another route with the bullpen for the Braves this year. It's like, you know what? Maybe I'll try having some bad guys.
Yeah,
It's not working.
Drew Smiley's. He's really sucking. Not to go too much back to the Braves, but he's a sucky guy that Anthopoulos brought on board.
And we let Mark Melanson go. He's the save leader for baseball over in San Diego.
It was a smart move. And also, real quick, our producer Kyle here is saying Madison Bumgarner apparently never wore a suit until a magazine appearance after the 2014 World Series. So,
wow,
that makes me feel even worse.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's got this like because I think he's from like South Georgia or something. So he's got this like, I'm a real tough guy, and I get mad. He's like one of the guys who gets mad when people like showboat and stuff.
Mm-hmm. He's a cop. He's a baseball cop.
If your name was Madison, as a guy, you're going to grow up with a complex if your name is Madison. So
that's like Jimmy said, yeah.
And speaking of Cowboys, I don't know if you guys remember, but the Diamondbacks got mad last year because they found out he was using a pseudonym to go be in rodeos.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
He's kind of stealing your thing, Cowboy Kev.
Yeah, it was kind of my thing, and I originated it. So he can also catch these hands.
What's your rodeo name?
Big Dick Bill.
That's right, BDB.
Yeah. I don't need a pseudonym because no one would care if I was doing rodeos, but I use it anyway. And to your point, a lot of my fellow rodeo cowboys are Brazilian. They're Central American. So I see them, I stand them, I respect them.
And Madison from North Carolina, just to
okay.
North Kakalaki, as the Cowboys say.
Mm-hmm.
I've started saying that, and I started saying, as the crow flies. And
you don't take kindly to people no more?
No. And also, this town ain't big enough for the both of us. I say that a lot.
You walk around Jersey City saying that?
Yeah, people seem to dig it, too.
I'm sure.
Yeah, people love it.
Super into it.
Oh, yeah, they love my vibe here in Jersey City. But yeah, that pretty much sums up. That's
everything that happened in baseball over the weekend, guys.
Comprehensive.
Little baseball crap.
Oh,
but the NFL draft. I think that's the other huge kind of story going on right now this week.
Yeah,
it's coming up right now, and yeah, we touched on it a little bit last week. We were talking about it off mic. Our so beloved / hated Atlanta Falcons kind of control the draft because according to Todd McShay and all the experts, the top 3 picks are sort of done for the most part. And the Falcons coming in at 4 have a lot of options and a lot of things they could do. Because it's going to be Trevor Lawrence going to Jacksonville, go play for Urban Meyer. And then we got, what's his face?
Zach Wilson.
Wilson at number 2 is kind of the consensus overall. And then number 3, it seems to be Mac Jones, although there's debate between him and what's his face, the guy from North Dakota State. Trey Lance. Yeah, sorry, long work day. I'm blanking. So the Falcons kind of sit pretty at 4, and most people or most projections are Kyle Pitts or Justin Fields, but it's a tough decision. I don't know.
It is a tough decision. I don't really know what the right call is. I can see all the arguments. Do you draft Kyle Pitts to give Matt Ryan a red zone weapon and try to make the most out of the last year or two of Matt Ryan's career? You trade back to get more value overall and fill in because you got a lot of holes on the roster. You draft the quarterback of the future. Hell, I don't know.
I like Kyle Pitts is amazing. Like you plug him in and he's immediately like offensive rookie of the year or whatever, probably.
Yeah.
And he's ready to go. But Justin Fields, man, he's a hometown kid.
I really like Justin Fields.
I like Justin Fields a lot. He wants to play in Atlanta. I mean,
yeah, and I like him, and it's not just because I'm a triggered Georgia fan who wishes that they had never let him go. I think he actually, I'm confused about how Zach Wilson somehow, I feel like these scouting guys, they sniff their own farts sometimes when it comes to evaluating these players, where they find this guy. I guess he has great tape from BYU, but I don't know. He wasn't playing great. He's playing C-level college competition and only had 1 year as a starter, one good year as a starter. So I'm just because they get it wrong so often, there's so many bad quarterbacks who get drafted high.
I feel like everyone is looking for the next Josh Allen. Because when Josh Allen was drafted out of Wyoming by the Bills, everyone was like, this guy sucks. What are you doing? And it's he's turned out to be awesome. But, how many of those guys don't?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's the Bears tried to be the smartest guys in the room by taking Trubisky. I think it was second overall they took Trubisky, or was he first? He was in the top 2. But it was he was good. He was pretty good at North Carolina, but it just seemed
But it was one season.
Yeah, exactly. And now look how that turned out. It's I don't know. Sometimes they're too smart for their own good, I think.
But with the Falcons, it's I don't know. I want that quarterback of the future because when else are they going to be this? I mean, assuming that everything works out, you're not going to be this high up in the draft again.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
So what do? You're going to rely on your salary, your cap space is already garbage. So it's not like you can go get a free agent anytime soon until you're done with Julio and all the big contracts. I don't know. It's not a choice. I'm glad I'm not making that choice is all I have to say.
Yeah. And like we've talked about, I think as Atlanta fans, I think we're all ready to maybe close the chapter on old Matty Ice, Matt Ryan.
Yeah, phenomenal player when he was there. Did everything he could, but
Yeah. It would suck if they try to go all in on being good for the last year or two of Matt's tenure. And then, 2 or 3 years from now, you find yourself needing a quarterback and you don't have any depth on defense because you've just gone, taken all of these you've got all these weapons for Matt and it doesn't do anything. Because I think that's kind of how the Giants ended Eli Manning's tenure. It was they were trying to keep the dream alive with Eli and drafting Saquon Barkley and trying to prop up this team. And it didn't work out.
Yeah, and the Falcons could still trade down, which I wouldn't be against because like the defense is so bad.
Yeah,
And getting depth there is just as important because like otherwise you're the Brooklyn Nets where you have to outscore people. But we've tried that before, and we had the fifth best offense of all time, and it didn't end well either. So
yeah, exactly. So
I don't know.
A little depth would be nice.
But
Either way, it's exciting.
Yeah. And I do.
That would be. We'll see. It's Thursday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The first round.
I'm just excited to see Roger Goodell. I'm a fan of that.
He's a good dude.
He's a good guy, and he's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most important.
He's a babe. He's a snack. I mean, I don't mean to, just fall on his looks, but.
Well, I'm excited. I don't know if they're in person this year, but I'm excited to see him hug the players because that means he supports and cares about the players because he hugs them when they get drafted. So,
Roger Goodell, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm also
or maybe a little bit of this.
I'm also super pumped for the NFL draft because, I can't wait to see how woke they are now and how they've joined the social justice movement, because they've always been allies. They haven't completely shunned players for peacefully protesting and showing a cause that, affects us directly, affects their people directly and their ethnicity directly. So they've always done the right thing. So I can't wait to see, especially on the heels of the verdict of the Derek Chauvin trial. I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome.
I can't think of a time when the NFL has been on the wrong side of history.
No.
Yeah, I'm racking my brain over here, and I'm drawing blanks on anything, say, within the last 7 to 10 years where they were on the wrong side of an issue. So, I think they're great.
Their statement in support of the verdict was great. The Raiders putting out a statement, "I can breathe" with the date, that read well and it went over great and it was not super inappropriate and offensive. So, Mark Davis killing it.
Yeah, that was out of the brilliant mind of the giant-sized 8-year-old known as Mark Davis. I thought that was because that was meant to be in support.
I know, but
in the worst taste possible.
I can breathe.
Yeah,
it's literally no, that's not how it works.
But yeah, the NFL draft. It'll be fun to see. It'll feel like a little more normal times, I guess. And I always like seeing the kids get drafted and seeing them celebrate with their families. I think that's a cool thing. It's a cool moment. It's a life-changing moment for for everyone there, but a generational potential changing moment for these guys. So I think that's a neat thing. Yeah. But speaking of the fart sound, that leads me into something I want to talk about here. And I want to play a little audio for you guys. And this is from a couple of weeks ago. We're going to transition out of the NFL draft. We're going to go down this path. So I want to play this audio, but I want to set it up with you guys. So let me ask you guys a question. And I'm just putting this on there. We didn't rehearse this before. If I told you guys that, the Brooklyn Nets, who are currently second in the Eastern Conference and definitely going to make the playoffs as a top 3 seed in the East, if they were playing a regular season game and, kind of a meaningless game, Kevin Durant, who's coming off of an Achilles injury and has also gotten dinged up a little bit this season, he decides not to play that game because, he wants to Steve Nash wants to look out for him and KD wants to take care of himself. If I told you all that was happening, how would you react to Kevin Durant not playing in a regular season game where it doesn't really matter?
I'd say that sounds fine.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say that sounds fine, but I would also say if I had a ticket to that game, I'd be disappointed. That best player that A to C isn't
Sure.
playing. But I understand if guys have injury problems, you got to err on the side of caution.
Oh, okay. Great. So, by you guys saying that, it just proves to me why we're not successful and why you guys aren't major stars like Chris Mad Dog Russo. Because Chris Mad Dog Russo, longtime broadcaster, he had a different reaction to this. And I want to play his reaction. So, buckle up, boys, because this is what the reaction you guys should have had.
Let's go tell Pat Riley, hey, Pat, no Ewing tonight. I know you're playing the Bulls and Jordan, but Ewing's going to pass because his knees are sore. Ewing, who played every night when he was I was there many a night in many a locker room when Ewing had to freaking ice his knees. Talk to the media every game. Sit in front of that locker room every game. Sat there with his ice on his knees, and he played night after night after night after night. Played his ass off. Night after night. You think, I tell you something right now, you ain't wanted to play. How about Krause telling Jordan somewhere in the 98 season when Pippen decided to take a pass with that late surgery, as we all saw there in the documentary, how about Krause telling Mike, Mike, we're in Sacramento tonight. You played last night. Let's take a blow. You know what Jordan would do? You know what Jordan would do? My God almighty! You couldn't rip that uniform off him. That's basketball. That's what he would do. He'd freaking play. How about Paul Silas? How about Havlicek? Ran 8 miles every game. Havel played from 1963 to 1979. 16 freaking years. Every single game. You think Havlicek's taking a night off? Havlicek! Twice the player that any of these guys are. You know what Havlicek was? It makes me sick. And you guys rip Cousy. How many games Cousy play? He's taking trains to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and run into the ball game because the train is late and they played the night before in Boston. And he go out there and play 45 minutes. How about freaking Durant say, you know what? I'm playing. Get the hell out of here. Durant, instead of fighting Michael Rappaport, how about Durant tell freaking Nash and his freaking owner who's paying him $40 million, and the GM Marks, who's a freaking out of the Popovich school, how about Durant just say, give me the goddamn uniform?
So there you go. That's what the appropriate reaction to a guy not playing.
Yeah, and I agree that Havlicek is twice the player that Kevin Durant ever will be.
Yeah.
Gotta agree.
And sometimes just to put a punctuation mark on a point, you just got to yell the guy's name at the end of this. Havlicek!
My God almighty!
All right, I have one more part of that clip you didn't play. Hold on, let me.
But yeah, that's the secret. That's why we're not successful, because I don't think I've ever been mad at anything in my whole life.
Yeah.
But
wouldn't it be fun to grow up? Wouldn't it be fun to grow up with that in your house?
Yeah, that's my dad. I mean, that sounds a lot like my dad actually in real life, but we won't go down that path. But yeah, Chris Russo, man, that anger is amazing, and it just goes to show you should listen to all these. I probably shouldn't be saying this, but you should listen to all these guys because they're definitely experts and know what they're talking about.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is. We don't pretend to be experts here.
No,
Mad Dog Russo acts as if he's an expert, and I've mentioned it before, but there's a clip that they would roast him on MLB Network where I believe he was trying to throw a baseball, and it's very clear there's not an ounce of athleticism in that man's body.
Just to show you how much of an expert he is, I have another clip here I can play it's a little bit shorter. But I want you guys to listen, or I'll ask you guys a question first. Like on the Denver Nuggets, they have a player who is really good, and his nickname is the Joker. How do you say his name?
Jokic?
Yeah, exactly. But here's what an expert. Here's how he see if you can hear something in this clip. This expert talking about Nikola Jokic.
And I don't pay attention to MVP awards. I very rarely pay attention to him anyway. I would think that Jokic of Denver, maybe a B to Philadelphia would be the other candidates. Embiid's only played 39 games, so that takes care of Embiid. He's missed 18 games. We're not going to give him the MVP. How about Jokic from that standpoint? How many games for Denver has the center played for the Nuggets? We'll see if we can find that here in a sec. I would look at Jokic as the guy that I would consider as MVP more than Curry. Harden's out and Embiid's out. It really is going to come down to Jokic and Curry as far as...
Jokic.
That's gotta be. Come on, that's gotta be intentional, right? Jokic, like that's like a grandpa, like mixing up Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson or something. Just like come on.
Oh my god, Jokic. He's an expert, but yeah, that's our boy Chris Russo. We covered Fartgate extensively a few weeks ago, so we'll be checking in on him a little bit more because he always brings a smile to my face.
Yeah, broadcasting legend.
I'm getting feedback from a couple listeners that they tried calling but couldn't hear anything. So I don't know what that's about, but we can, if anyone wants to try again, I don't know, we'll figure it out. But speaking of Jokic, this is a really smooth transition.
Well, you're Cowboy Kev. Cowboy Kev's all about the smooth transition.
Oh yeah, and he knows all about Jokic too. Out on the saddle all day.
Oh, tell me about it. Things get a little raw down south, if you know what I'm saying. You guys watched some of the UFC?
I didn't see the pay-per-view, but I've seen all the highlights.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I mostly just seen the Joe Rogan reaction shots of him looking like he's like having a stroke or something.
One thing you shouldn't see is Weidman breaking his leg because
I don't like that. Me no like.
No.
That's why I can't. I can't fully get on board with UFC because of that's always on the table as a potential outcome.
And that was a brutal one, and it's like you can't see that.
Luckily, I happened to, because it happened right at the beginning of the fight.
Yeah.
And I went to, it literally was so quick that I got up to make a pee-pee, and I missed it completely. I missed the beginning of the fight, and I missed that. And what's crazy is apparently that happened to that guy, but a couple years ago, that happened to, what was his name?
Anderson Silva.
Anderson Silva broke his leg on that guy by kicking him. So it's like weird freak thing.
That guy's like made out of concrete. Just don't kick him.
Yeah.
But I'm like no UFC expert. I was really into it as a kid when it first started, and it was like no weight classes, and it felt like Street Fighter.
Yeah, it was much more, even more extreme back then.
Before Dana White and all those guys bought Zufo Entertainment or whatever, bought like the company. I was really into it then, and then I was really into it in college. And like I loved like George St. Pierre and BJ Penn and those guys. And then I kind of fell off. And now that it's like on ESPN and more accessible, I'm like starting to get back in it. But I was really interested in this weekend. I wasn't going to pay to watch it because like I know Twitter will always just show me the fights or the knockouts immediately. But holy crap, was it kind of satisfying and cool to see Jorge Masvidal get blown the F up.
Oh, yeah, he's an e-bag.
He's a QAnoner. He's like
I did not know that.
Because Masvidal was like, look, believe what you want to believe, but in terms of my personal whatever, he was always like a cool guy, Cuban from Miami, from the streets, like seemed like a fun guy to root for, but he went like nuts and like super QAnon or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then like everything he was doing, like laughing at Usman, like laughing in his face, like right before, and talking about how his punches weren't that strong, and then to get knocked out the way he did. Mwah.
Yeah. And yeah, that's the thing that I've realized is it's really easy to get like locked in on some of the storylines because the personalities are so over the top.
They're huge.
And I'll say this, because people people knock women's sports a lot. I'll say that the women's
Rose.
fights are just as entertaining as the men's, sometimes even more so. Like, Rose
baby.
Namajunas.
Yeah.
Very easy to cheer for, and it was very satisfying to see her knock out. I don't remember the name of the other fighter, but
it's a full-on video game kick to the face. Zhao? Was it Zhao? No.
It was a Chinese fighter.
No, Zhao was a director. I think the one the Oscar.
Oh no. Yeah, no, it's Wiley Zhang.
Zhang. Excuse me.
You're not excused. We don't tolerate that down on my range.
Oh man. I'm gonna get these hands now too.
You're gonna catch these hands. I'm a woke cowboy. But yeah, it's I'm not like so into it that I'm gonna go learn to fight and whatever, but it's entertaining for sure.
Yeah, and having it on ESPN Plus just makes it easier. Like if you want to catch a fight, at least for me it does, because pay-per-view is always like weird and cable company or like weird internet stuff. So it's just easier now that Disney's okay with fighting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Disney owns ESPN, right? So.
Yeah, Disney owns everything, man. They own ESPN, they own ABC, they own Marvel.
They'll be owning all of us soon, God willing.
I know.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that,
Team Goofy, baby.
Team Goofy. Team Goofy.
Goofy almost poked my eye out as a kid.
Really?
Yeah, because we were in Disney World. And I was like a little kid, and I was like, look, there's Goofy. Because, they only come out at certain times. Yeah. And so I was like, oh my God. I was like, Goofy. I was like walking over, and then another family was coming the other way. And because the guy's wearing this giant mask and he can't see, the other family was like, Goofy. They were a lot louder. And so he did this to hug them, and his finger went right in my eye. Just I collapsed like Masvidal did, basically.
Yeah. Spit went flying out of your mouth. Sweat everywhere.
The sweat flew everywhere. The referee had to come over and pull me up.
Yeah. No, that's a shame.
But yeah, they're going to own us, and it's going to be good.
Oh, yeah.
It will be good. And what we didn't discuss was that last week it was still pending, but I guess that European Super League.
Oh, yeah.
It's donezo.
Yeah, for now. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think that idea is coming back. The Real Madrid president, Florentino Perez, a real-life supervillain, is still holding strong. And Barcelona is still sort of in the mix. Just because, the stuff behind that is, the Spanish league is basically bankrupt. So they're doing whatever they can to get money.
Yeah.
And then, last week, I watched so much Sky Sports. The British people were going insane. All British fans were super you're ruining our sport and you're ruining our league. And then the Spanish people were like, well, Barcelona and Madrid always win anyway, so who cares? They were less upset by it. But I'm still glad it's not happening. As a result, they just released a new Champions League format, which just basically means more teams and more games, another knockout round. But it's not going to go through right now. There's a lot of anti-American sentiment, especially in England right now, because they're blaming all the American owners for being into, the main forces behind this, which I could see. But they've always hated those guys anyway. I mean, imagine a bunch of Brits coming over and being like, hey, guys, the NFL is going to be different now because we're going to make more money. I don't think people would take too kindly to that.
Yeah, I get that. But I also, this podcast is anti-British, so
yeah,
you can kiss my buns, England. And you know what?
Save your ass from Hitler. We can do whatever the hell we want to your soccer.
Yeah, y'all be goose stepping around the little goddamn Windsor Castle. It weren't for us. So you can kiss my ass, and if you ain't careful, you're gonna catch these hands.
Yeah, I'm wishing this on you.
As far as the MVP,
I'm just wishing this.
Jokic, Mike.
I hope you get a bunch of
Jokic. And you know what? As soon as I knock your ass out, they're gonna do this. Because it's over.
That's it. But yeah, for now it's dead. I think it'll come back. I think there's always going to be, because it's, again, closing. Yeah, the reason the American owners want to do that is because they want to close a league the way the NFL is, because there's no relegation. And the reason they want to do that is because your team stands to make more money, because teams that play in these leagues, because they can be relegated, can't be valued as high. So like some MLS teams are valued higher than like some of these old teams in Europe because they are not going anywhere. They're always going to be on TV. They're always going to exist. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, I was annoyed at people that are like, this romantic idea that like there's already not corrupt money going on there is bullshit, is BS and whatever. And it's a business. And it's like, yeah, but nobody gets into sports because it's a business. No one's like a little kid. It's like, ooh, I like business, so I'm going to watch basketball and soccer and baseball. It's like, no.
Speak for yourself there, Diego, because I will say, as a boy, I watched for the front office. I thought, I kind of looked up to John Sherholtz, and I thought, I want to be that guy. I want to be. I went to games as a kid, to Braves games, and I'd wear a suit and tie, and people thought, "What are you doing?" And I was saying, "I'm dressed like my favorite player, John Sherholtz." And I would my dad would get us seats that were turned around to face the executive suites. I just wanted to watch. I was like, "Yeah, baseball, whatever, sports. I get it. I want to."
Did he bring like a powerful drill and go ahead and just unbolt the stadium seats?
Well, he did that
and then bolt them back in.
Yeah, and they eventually, the Braves staff knew us, and they gave us that special seat because they wanted to let me honor my hero. And so that's just me, though.
You would keep score at the game at looking at like the salary cap, or not, well, there's no salary cap, but looking at like the expenditures and the profits being made throughout the game.
Yeah.
Right.
How much the hotel was going to cost in New York on the upcoming road trip.
Yeah. And I'd look at I would, my dad would bring these play receipts for ticket revenue for the game. So I would do what's our ticket revenue? What's our concession revenue? What's our souvenir revenue for tonight? Are we operating at a net profit? Are we in the red or are we in the black? That's all I cared about. Wins and losses.
I'm an immigrant, so I came from a different place, so I didn't look at it that way. So I apologize for not understanding.
Yeah, it's a little disrespectful of my culture, cowboy culture.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that is... business is a big part of cowboy culture.
On the range, it's all about money. That's why we do this.
Oh my god! Oh,
it's all about this.
Not to change subjects.
Do it
too drastically, but I feel like we have to talk about a frequent subject on our show. Two frequent topics, both Saturday Night Live, sketch comedy television program, and Elon Mask.
I struggle with that still.
Still struggling with that. Even though he and I did the Hunka Chunka stuff in space last week.
Yeah.
I'm thinking he's just trying to Hunka Chunka Kate McKinnon, maybe. Is that what's going on here?
Well, he's gonna find out that it's not gonna work with her.
She's not interested in men, not sexually, but he's gonna be hosting Saturday Night Live. I don't know about you boys, but as a fan of business, I can't wait.
Yeah, three dudes who are a fan of the business of comedy and break into that. Because like when I submitted a writer's packet to SNL, or the few I did, it wasn't sketches. It was like accounting. You know what I mean? It was like contracts,
spreadsheets, and
and they didn't take me, but it's a competitive field
for sure.
Yeah. So I'm with you, and that's what I would do as well. But I think it's going to be hilarious. I think it's going to be so. I think it's going to be epic.
I can't think of a funnier person alive right now than Elon Musk.
For sure.
I'd say it's probably Elon Musk number one. Number two is probably Lorne Michaels. That guy is hilarious.
Yeah.
Been on the show.
The coolest people on earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting. I'm sure there's going to be sketches about like space.
Mm-hmm.
Probably going to be a pretty awesome space sketch, you know.
An electric car sketch.
An electric car sketch.
Like a commercial or something,
Yeah.
A billionaire sketch,
Yeah. They're gonna have fun with an eat the rich kind of thing, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's SNL. Its roots are based on subversive comedy and taking on the man like they always did with like John Belushi and Chevy Chase and those guys. And they're still doing that now.
For sure.
This will be the funniest episode since I think in the early 80s, they had an NBC executive host SNL. I think this will be close to as funny and memorable as that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's going to be epic. And Elon Musk strikes me as a guy who is so funny.
Oh, yeah.
And so.
Yeah.
He's going to bring in his own writers, I hope. So I hope he brings in Joe Rogan. I hope he brings in, other billionaires that are his buddies.
Yeah.
Rhymes will be with him.
He's hilarious on Twitter. So, if that's any indication, the jokes are going to be flying left and right.
Yeah, he's always sharing stuff from the Babylon Bee. So it's going to be quality.
Yeah.
When he hosts.
It's not awesome.
Does he actually share stuff from that?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. But anyway,
can we all just agree, as far as the satire news paper game, it's just the Onion. Everyone else, knock it off.
Right.
Yeah, I know. There are too many people trying at this point,
And the Onion is still the funniest.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, to wash that gross taste in our mouth here as we sort of wrap up, and I always bring them up at the end because our Atlanta Hawks, baby.
Woo!
20-7 since Nate McMillan took over. Best record in the Eastern Conference since Nate McMillan took over. I know everyone's pumped for the Knicks because they're, way above expectations, and they just beat the Hawks too. So, shout out to the Knicks. I'm happy for them. I'm happy for Knicks fans. Knicks fans, I feel like, have suffered for way too long.
Yeah, I don't hate the Knicks.
No, not at all.
Hard feelings towards them.
I'm happy for them. But our B team, because Trae Young's out, DeAndre Hunter's out, Cam Reddish is out. Chris Dunn maybe exists, but no one's ever seen him yet.
Yeah.
They just beat the Heat and the Bucks with their full squads. And Bogey and Lemon Pepper Lou, man.
Woo!
They're going nuts, and I'm excited for this team, and I can't wait for my heart to be broken in a couple months.
Yeah. It's gonna be rough, but it's exciting. At least the Hawks are a relevant team. It's been
and they're fun to watch.
5 years at least, whenever that was. Yeah.
And they're fun to watch. They're a fun team. They jack up a bunch of threes. Clint Capella just eats up the
insane
backboards. John Collins always has fun dunks. Again, we said it at the beginning of the season. If you have no skin in the game, this isn't a bad team to jump on board with.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Get on that bandwagon now. Clint Capella keeps having 20 plus rebound games. It's crazy.
Yeah. And Trey will be back soon, so that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's crazy that they beat. Did the Bucks have Giannis playing?
Yep, Giannis played. And the Heat had Jimmy and Bam and everybody as well. Yeah. And they killed the Heat. I think they won that game double digits in the end.
Damn.
So it's fun. And shout out to the Knicks, man. Because the Hawks and Knicks are currently, they have the same record and they're in fourth in the East. Julius Randle has been incredible for the Knicks. And it looks like Tom Thibodeau they find a coach, it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, the Knicks are, we can feel a kindred spirit with them a little bit because I think their last championship was in 73 or something like that. So it's
their only one.
Their only one, yeah. So they kind of, they're Atlanta team adjacent in that fact that they just have never really won anything.
And I will say this too, like the Knicks fans through the crap and through James Dolan still, like they're the most loyal fans.
Yeah.
You know, like we always talk about Mets fans in New York being like super and Jets fans, but like something about the Knicks fans too, man. And I'm happy for a lot of friends back in the city that are having a good time with this. Because the thing is too, it's the same crappy team from last season. It's not like they went out and bought Kevin Durant and a bunch of other, it's like the same crappy players, and like Tibbs has got them going, and they're one of the best defensive teams.
Yeah, they just hired a good coach.
And I think we can't discredit or discount the effect that James Dolan's music is probably having on the team.
Yeah.
Because they're probably blasting JD in the straight shot in the locker room, getting hype.
Yeah.
Hype AF, as we say on the range.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That'll fire you up when you listen to JD in the straight shot covering the Wire theme. It's pretty, that will fire you the frick up.
You get fired up and you say,
"That's basketball!"
That's what you say. And you're pointing at a basketball when you say that. You're pointing at it and you're saying, "That's basketball."
You
and
say,
you got JD
You know what
straight
George
shot.
would do? You know what George would do?
And he'd be good at basketball, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And JD is singing, "If you walk through the garden, you better keep the devil."
yeah, I mean,
down in the hole.
I don't necessarily want to play the Knicks in the first round because it seems like they have the Hawks' number, but even the last few years. But whatever, man. If they both make the playoffs, that's awesome, and it looks like they're going to. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't. But I'm super pumped for the Hawks, maximum Hawkage, and can't wait to have my heart ripped out when they blow it in the first round.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Bracing for that now.
They always find a way to break your heart in the worst way possible.
Yeah,
Currently, the Atlanta Braves are doing it by just not doing anything good.
Yeah.
But the Hawks turned it around mid-season. I'm not saying fire Snit, but they turned it around mid-season after a change. Maybe the old Bravos can do the same.
I hope so.
Yeah. Fingies crossed.
It's not looking good.
Fingies crossed.
But I think with that, that's going to do it for another Classic Up. Check out some of our old shows. You can find us all over the internet. Just type in Sports Lords. And check out some of the other shows on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Download their app. They got their shows streaming all the time, every day. Check them out.
Oh,
It's good stuff, guys.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, with that, I think, it's going to do it. For another Classic
and the
Up.
only thing I have to say, another classic ep, and
Papa bless.
Papa bless everyone.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.